What's up, folks? I got asked to make a video, very nicely, about saws and saw blades and stuff like that. Pretty basic, simple. What I use, you can use whatever. I use a German jeweler's saw. This is a 4. Now, why is it a 4? Your throat is 4 inches from there to your blade. 4. That's 4. I have this. This is a 6. I use a 6. You can see that I use. This is 9 years old. So $19, $20. This is. I've had it since I started, and they'll last a long time. This one I've hardly ever used, but I put in the works with this one. Now you'll get this saw. There's 2 different. You'll get this saw. It's got an adjustment here. It moves this piece up and down. You'll have your saw blades. I normally use a 1/0. It goes 1/0 to 8/0, which is small, and then from 1/0 to 6. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 being, these are 6s. You can actually see them versus this is a 2/0. See the difference? The thickness. 6 is thicker. I'll use this for spur rails. 2/0 for silver is 22 gauge, 20 gauge, 16. I've cut steel with them. But when I go to steel, I go to these 1/0. I go to 1 to 6, and I usually use a 6 on spur rails. 4 and 6 on spur rails, maybe a 5, but I never went in the middle. 6 will do just fine. Back to the jeweler's saw. Take your saw blade, teeth down. Teeth go like this, like a hacksaw. I feel for the teeth. They're going to be making sure they're facing down. You cannot see these. It's so tiny. Anyway, how about this one? See the teeth? They're going in and out, up and down. Same way here. I want them to be facing down, so when I pull down, it saws. It'll cut. So I'll check them. Now, this needs to be adjusted when you get it. So what you want to do is open this bottom one up, put it in there straight, teeth down. I usually hold it like this to get it settled on my shoulder, on my chest, and I keep it steady, and I can use both hands. I push it all the way to the back. I push this blade to the bottom of that blade, push it all the way down to the bottom, and then tighten it up. Now I'll have a loose blade. I got a loose blade in here. It may be adjusted too short, it may be adjusted too long. You loosen this side up, and you bring it back down. I like your throat in here is about that far where you need to put your blade. I've got this one all the way to the bottom on the bottom side. From here, the springs. Okay? You want that tight, but you don't want it so tight that it'll snap your blade. So basically where I like to keep my blade, to keep it from snapping, when I push it down and tighten it so it pulls it, is Let me see if we can see a measurement. about right there where it's touching. Okay, now from there I'll adjust that. This is not bent or anything, it's just straight. I'll adjust this tight, so then I'll have it right where I want it. Right about, oh, this thing is little, I should use a 6. Start over, I'll do a 6. Feel my blades, they're down, so when you pull down, put it in tight. Okay. The blade lengths are going to be about the same on all the different sauce blades. That's about where I want it. Where's my screw? That's about where I want it. I don't know how to measure it. It's like 1/8 of an inch. About 1/8 of an inch from there. Does that make sense? Now, I'll tighten that up, because it may be way up here and not even close. But about 1/8 of an inch. So when I open this up, set it in there and guide it. And I usually push with my chest to tighten it up. I set it in there, in between that clamp, push it all the way to the top. Maybe not all the way, and tighten it down. Now you see my bend in my saw. See how it's kind of gets smaller? That blade's tight, so I can go to cutting. It's tight. If it's loose, it'll break. It will slip on you when you get to going, and it will break and throw a bend in it. That's pretty much it. That's setting up your saw. I put that blade all the way in there. Not all the way to the top, just a little bit. You'll figure it out as you start using them. If you start breaking more, you may be too tight. If you're down here, and that's the bottom of your blade when it's loose, and you push that down all the way, you're gonna snap your blade immediately. Or the first time you touch something, it's like a guitar string and touching it with a knife. It's tight as hell. Just that little bit of nick in it causes it to break. That's it. That's setting up your saw. You know, I'm not trying to sound like an ass. It's basics. Just getting started. A lot of guys don't know that. So hopefully that'll help somebody. I had a guy ask me about it, and I told him I can't explain to you. I'll just make you a video, and then you can order your stuff, and then you can start sawing your silver out. Because he's cutting it out with a die grinder and maybe 10 snips. Some guys still use 10 snips if they're cutting straight. I'd cut it all out with a saw. That's about it on that. I use all different sizes of blades, and I get them from Rio's. I usually order grosses, unless they're specialty and I don't need a whole bunch of like number 6s. I'll order a gross of 6s, and they'll last me for a long time. You're gonna want to order a gross, because you're probably, if you've never used a saw before, you're gonna break a lot of blades. It's just gonna happen. So if you order, say, a pack of these, which is 12, and they're like $3.50 for 12 blades, you're gonna go through that in about 30 minutes if you don't know what you're doing. If you've never done it, so you better order a gross, which is a 120. It's be about $22, $25, depending on there's several different types. It's better to order more, because it would suck if you just ordered one little package and you broke them all in an hour, and then you're like, I got this saw, but I can't cut nothing. So it's gonna happen, but you'll get used to it. And what I use, they sell a wood block to cut on. You can use a piece of wood. You can angle it down and cut a notch in the middle of it, and you get into that wood cutting your piece, and it's gonna look like this. But I don't want wood. I've had this piece of metal for 9 years. it's gonna last me probably in my lifetime. I can make them and sell them. I don't know what I would sell them for, but I mean, there's nothing to it. You just gotta figure. You can make them as long as you want them. You can make them out here, 8 inches from your table, so you've got a lot of motion to move. Mine's pretty short. It's like 7 total, and it hangs off the table 4.5. Sometimes I wish it was out another 2 inches, but hell, all guys wish that. So, anyways, that's pretty much it. I use a steel one. It's got a 1/4 inch slot hole cut in the middle. It's no big deal. I angled it down so I can have movement. And if I'm making more, probably make them a little bit longer, because sometimes you'll get into your table, or you can only go 65 degrees this way and 65 degrees that way, maybe, or 75 here and 75 here, and you start hitting this table and it's shaking. But that's about it, man. That's it. It's 11 minutes of knowledge that a guy that's been doing this can go, "You're an idiot." No, you got to start somewhere, and I believe starting on this saw is where it's at. You can meld a lot. You can do a lot of things with this saw. People take it for granted. It's time consuming. It's the most work you're going to put in anything is at the saw bench. This is where your pretty happens. Your ideas you put on paper or whatever you have it transform into being real is right here at the saw bench. And you become one with your saw, and you can create all kinds of things. So that's about it. Have a good day. I haven't made too many videos. I got people wanting me to put on schools, and thinking about doing that, and we'll see where it goes. But I can't put on a school right now. I don't have the facilities or the room. I could probably teach one person, but he'd want to leave the first day. And then I'd have to teach. You can cover a broad band of so many things to build, but you got to start with your basics. I know this just from engraving. You got to go back to basics. Even from your most experienced engravers, you may have to go back to basics. If you don't know the basics, there's no sense in trying to learn the most intricate engraving you can think of. It's back to this. There's no sense in going trying to go full. You can't skip this step. This is an important step in this process. I can't emphasize it enough. That's how I feel about it. Other makers may not feel that way. I think it's a big part of this deal. But you got to be good here. This has got to be your home. Anybody can weld spurs and put them together, man. You get on the saw bench, this is another world. You got to be just as good here as you are at your metalwork. It's just all part of the process, and it's little things you learn as you go along. Hopefully I can help you further that knowledge. So I'm not preaching to anybody. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I got people asking me all the time. I don't know. I could sit all day on the phone talking to one person, and I like that. Don't get me wrong. I'll waste more time talking to people. It's not a waste of time to me. Not when you're talking about something that I like and that you want to learn, and you're respectful to me by asking me questions. Man, that's cool, man. I'll help you. Excuse me. But just because I make these videos doesn't, don't feel that you're entitled to just ask me questions, man. The stuff that I'm teaching here is so simple. and basic, but it needs to be taught. The little things help in other areas, and you'll pick up and use them in other parts that you're doing. So that's why I haven't made any videos, man, lately. Unless somebody specifically has a problem and I can't explain to them over the phone, hopefully I can show you and help you. And to everybody else's benefit, they'll go to see by whoever's asking me the question. So, as long as you're trying to do this stuff the right way and want to learn and do it right, not be fraudulent about it, I got mad respect for you. If you're welding shit with a MIG welder and you don't have the grinders and the tools that you need to build the products that you see and want to and long to build, I know where you're at. I've been there. I'm still there at some point. I'm there. I'm intimidated by other makers who have awesome material in their shop. Just, wow, dude, if I just had that, it would make my job so much easier. So to the guy out there struggling with nothing but maybe a hand grinder, a welding machine, cutting stuff out with a torch, man, I give you mad props. I respect that. Other people say, man, that's stupid, you're doing hard, you're doing it wrong. Man, you're learning. So when you find a better way, this is my thoughts on it. When you find an easier way, because you've done it hard for so long, to make your life easier and enjoy this more, I can't hate on you, man. I can't. Because you've put in the labor. You've put in the work. You know what it took to get to that point of, golly, making this or that. It's Jesus, draining. It's hard. It's what. And I got a certain way I do things. Show you, and you're like, oh man, I saved 30 minutes. Oh man, that's so much easier. Why didn't I think of that? And this is how this works with all the makers that I've talked to. One guy does something totally different than I do it, or I do something totally different than he does it. Not everybody does it the same way, and you will find that. But you just keep on making, and the best ideas, and the most proud you'll be is of the things you learn on your own. Maybe with a little help, but you figured out a trick, and then you feel so good about yourself. You're like, man, that's cool. Maybe something that I've already figured out 7 years ago, but you learned it. You own that. Nobody can take that away from you. You know? And nobody held my hand. I'm not trying to make anybody I'm not trying to hold anybody's hand. I'll help you. You got to do the rest. I can show you. I can teach you. But after that, man, I'm not trying to make more competition for myself. I mean, that's the big deal, but it's not. I mean, I respect somebody who's busting their ass to try to be good at something, whether it be a hobby or whatnot. If they're trying to do it the hard way and really want to do it, those people, those guys or girls or whatever, they will listen and they will get the most from the experience of whatever they ask the question because their heart's in it. That's just basically simple. But anyway, sorry about the philosophy. Y'all just want to learn shit. Y'all don't want to hear my preaching. Have a good day. I've been on the hook past couple of days. I figured I'd ground myself down and make something to help somebody and get out of that rut. That's just how I am. Have a good day. Hope this helps. Cheerio.